Hi, I'm Seamus Haji. I'm teaching Music and Business Module 2 at Point Blank. Previously I've done A&R for Defected records, Slip and Slide, Strictly Rhythm. A lot of remixing for a lot of big artists like Mariah Carey, Rihanna, Moby, people like that. It was in the early 80s and it was when electronic music was just starting to come through. So this is before house music. In the UK we just had the two-tone ska revival that had been going on. So from the late 70s to the very early 80s, that was the big thing that most kids were into. And then next thing you know, there was this sort of electronic music was coming out from New York, electro-funk, people like Arthur Baker and Afrika Bambaataa and all this. At the time I didn't realise it, but it was the music that had been inspired by Kraftwerk. So it was like electronic music from Kraftwerk, been taken by people in New York and kind of remodeled and repackaged with this kind of electro-funk hip-hop movement. And when that came to the UK, so it's about 1982, it was just amazing because you had like all the visual element to it, all the graffiti, and then the DJing side of it, and people body popping and breakdancing, and then the music and rappers. So it was all, there was so much to it. So being young was like really exciting. So it was, yeah, it was like a form of escapism. So growing up in South London, which didn't seem that exciting, but then there was this music that I got drawn into. I don't think I faced any challenges because I was doing it because I enjoyed it. And back then I didn't have the money to buy turntables. I think when I first started, I was 15, I had a portable cassette recorder and a hi-fi unit, and I used to, in some rudimentary way with a microphone plugged into the hi-fi system, I'd play a record there and I'd play a cassette and I'd mix with a turntable that didn't have any pitch. I was using my finger on a belt drive deck, or I was slowing it down on the side of the platter. Very raw and rudimentary, but the excitement of putting two pieces of music together was exciting to me. So I wasn't really thinking, oh, I'm going to be a DJ. I was at school, and when I left school I was going to go into graphic design. That was what I was thinking, and then next thing I just got into DJing, but there was no career path. It wasn't like, oh, I can make money from this. It was just, I did it because I enjoyed it. I've had lots of residencies, some in the UK, some abroad. Pasha opened in London by about 2002. I was one of the main residents there, and that was really good because I could break records, and that was a big space. Because I know people would go to record shops and go, yeah, there's this track that Seamus is playing at Pasha, because I was playing there probably 3 weekends a month, and I could still do other guest spots. I think working in A&R is good because I think I've had to apply it to myself. You've got to be objective about stuff, like is it good, is it bad? I got into A&R completely by mistake. I didn't plan it, that's the truth. I was working in a record shop and I was writing for a magazine called Music Magazine that was big at the time. Ben Turner was the editor. And I just started making music as well. So I think sort of working in a record shop, you're selecting records the whole time, and you're doing that process. Then I was writing about the music in magazines, DJing, producing. So I was ticking a lot of boxes in that area, and then somebody looked at me and said, oh, actually, let's get him in. And I went to this label called Slip and Slide that was part of Kicking Music, and they'd had a big hit with the Lacey Hideaway, which even to this day is being sampled by people, right? So they had the original record, and they were in contact with Deep Dish, who were like this duo that would write letters to them saying, we love your label. And this is when Deep Dish were unknown. It was just these two guys, and they'd sort of started producing stuff, and they gave them that record to remix. And it went from being a New Jersey garage record into something else, and it blew up. So that was the big hit they had on Slip and Slide, and that went on to AM/PM. And Slip and Slide was my sort of favourite independent label. They wanted to pick my brain, that's what they said to me. We want to see what you think we should do with the label, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of gave them some ideas, and then I got a call the next day saying, oh, you've got the job as label manager and A&R, and I didn't know that was being offered, or they were psyching me out. So I kind of got into it by mistake. What excites me about teaching at Point Blank is, well, look, this is what I do, you know. I always say that if you're going to get into any sort of profession, if you do what you enjoy, it's not really work, because I love it. So I'm passionate about it. I like talking about stuff I'm passionate about. So if you get to talk to people who are actually genuinely there to learn from you, they're sponges and they want to learn, then I'm more than happy to impart that knowledge. Yeah, I've made mistakes. Maybe I should have done things differently, and it's good to make them aware of that. And I think these are exciting times as well with the music industry. Things are changing the whole time, so I find that being in this sector, I'm always learning stuff as well. I definitely wish I had somewhere like Point Blank to hand, because I can't really think of anything like that back in the day, you know. But I wish that I could have come somewhere like Point Blank, and you know, you're learning from people who've got the skills, and they teach you in such a sort of an intense way, in a good way, what they know, and just across the board. I mean, the DJing thing I could do, but to learn about the production side of it, and then the music business side of it, because I definitely made mistakes when I was young. I did things like, oh God, I did that, didn't I? And I didn't really understand the business side of it.